What's up, y'all? So this is a video with a client and friend, Lachlan Todd. Shout out to Lachlan for allowing us to use this to help you guys too as well. But the video specifically is on Instagram and on creating carousels. And I wanted to add this note in the introduction to say that we go really in depth here. Lachlan's asking questions, not only from his perspective, but also like the perspective of someone learning to help you more. I advise you not to overthink this and not to go super, super deep, but I am going really, really in depth here to help you guys understand more and more about like where I'm coming from and what I've learned in terms of like assembling carousels, how it happens, this whole process. So enjoy the video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, or reach out to me on Instagram.
Yeah, for addressing this, what we've talked about is literally showing more dimensions of you, and that's where I don't even know if you planned it this way. You were just like, hey, Will, this is a Vancouver. These are Vancouver photos that I have, from home and from this time. But like, frankly, when we talk about everything, like looking at your profile right now, in terms of all that's on it, right? Like our last conversation was, okay, this is a lot of cool stuff. This is my life, and this is awesome. Like, I'm living this really like luxurious, cool lifestyle. But right, you want to show more, and frankly, what you did with these photos could not do a better job of it. Like, this is perfect. And what we add by the different ways of adding more dimensions, like the easiest one to think about is like comfort, which like I know you even asked right about cover photos, and like these kind of vibes of like, this is, I think you said your nephew, right? Maybe, or something. Yeah. So like nephew, this is hilarious. Like, I love this one. Unfortunately, the video quality or the photo quality may not be good enough for a cover photo, but like, this is hilarious. You're in a sombrero holding two chihuahuas.
Yeah.
Or just two tiny dogs, right? Like, that is the perfect, like, a little bit of personality, a little bit of goof, but like, you like to get down. And then, right, you have, this is also hilarious. Right. But then all these other things you've highlighted are also highlighting your life in a cool way. Like, okay, like you eat oysters, whether that means you're into like biohacking and into oysters for their nutritional development or not, it's still showing like, okay, you're at nice restaurants having oysters. It looks like an elegant environment, cool apartment, cool work setup. This is, maybe back into that biohacking area, the sauna, ice bath combo. Like, you've done this also is fire. Sunset in the cool apartment. This is more dimensions in terms of that one's moving a little slow, I guess. I think this one is a little bit faster. Yeah.
Yeah, the wind. Just gonna blame the wind there.
Yeah. But what do they call this? Parasailing? No. Is that what it is? Parasailing? Windsurfing?
Windsurfing?
Yeah. But anyways, right, you're showing, I don't know what this is. Oh, this is literally my download from something different. Right. Then you have this fire, cool wedding. And yeah, I know you talked about this vibe. Like, this is so soft. So overall, in terms of like throwing carousels together, I know we've talked about it a little bit before, but just to highlight, like, the thing that we really look for, and right, like, this is my exact approach, is to seek a more or less theme within a post, right? So what we're doing is we're looking at I'm just going to pull up IG. The things we're considering are the main theme, and how it flows with your overall feed, right? And so right now, what we already talked about a little bit earlier was you have all this incredible stuff. Like, you're in Marbella, you're in, this one's Greece. Yeah, this one's Greece. You're in, you're in Warsaw, you're in Guatemala, right? But it's more of like, I know you said this one was literally there for like yoga and you had like Shavasana, but like, we haven't exactly seen that. And so like, that's the whole point of adding these dimensions. So it's like, okay, what needs to be featured? And also like, how does the overall aesthetic fit of the photos fit in your feed? Like, those are the points we're evaluating on. So actually, I should have done this beforehand, but what I'm going to do right now is just screenshot these for you, because I'm going to plug it into my carousel, my preview app. And this is literally what I've done before. I think I've maybe shown you videos or whatnot just to test what it looks like on the feed.
Yeah.
So I'm just doing this to set it up.
So you base the first pick on how it goes with everything else. There might be like 3 that are good, and then it's judging based on the others.
Yes. Yeah. So like when I talk about like fitting in with the feed, that's all of these covers. Like, you know, if you had everything, you do have like a bluish vibe or like a lot of sky nature vibe, which is cool. Like, I mean, if you look at mine, it's the same thing, right? But if you have like this same color scheme repeated, it's not going to look as good as variety. And like, frankly, you know, you're all over the world. We want to show that in different ways. And if it looks like you have the same exact photo all over the world, the, you know, average person may not be able to see that as well. So we're like, that's the whole point of IG, is to like demonstrate it, make it easy for people to see. Like, yeah, even these, just like if you had one more that would have been this kind of purpley pink sky, these two are different enough in terms of the environment, like cityscape versus Cappadocia. I don't know what you call that terrain, mountainous, kind of hilly terrain. It's good, but right, you broke it up with the next one, which was the Bodrum. What do you call that? Beachscape, whatever the natural term is. So that's where we look at the first thing, but then we go in here. Oh, these are all it's going to add now. But what we do then is go into preview here. And this is mine. You can even see where I was like experimenting, like what this is going to be in my next post here. So you can see how it's like, okay, I have this darker nature, but then this is like the yellow and the blue theme. And then we have the darker green, which is kind of similar to those two. But then, right, we're a little bit desert vibes again with a whole different like colorscape, etc. And this is for sure, like in the beginning, it's better to just get posts out. Like I wasn't thinking about it as much. I can delete this one. It's somebody else's. Right. But it's just something helpful to think about, especially the further you get. So what I'm going to do now is just add those photos that I just did for you and make sure they match up.
Yeah, and for context, for anyone watching, I mean, I have cool posts as we can see here, but I feel like it's showing this like flashy life of like I'm in villas, jet skiing and stuff, like which I am, but it didn't feel like truly, I guess I don't know if the word's authentic, but like I wasn't showing all aspects of my personality and want to show a bit more of my life beyond luxury stuff.
Yeah. And so, okay, so yours, obviously, you know this. Yours are the top 6. And so I've just done that to simulate your feed. And now we're going to see, I'm just using the carousel feature, and we're going to go into recents. Just tossing in, let's look at the actual photos just to see what we have in terms of what I think are best. So this one is a little slow. We're going to delete that. This is cooler, way faster. This is better than this, just based on composition. So this is like, now we're getting into like, okay, which photos do I use out of this grouping that I have? So because these are too similar and this one is just way better than this one,
yeah,
we're going to delete this one, right? This is cool. Is that you swimming right there?
no,
Oh, okay.
I think I took the video, but I mean, did the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't think this is really relevant. It's just like a friend. We went to salsa class.
Yeah. So it's cool that it's salsa. Obviously, it'd be better if it was you. This is pretty funny. So that we're going to consider keeping. Between these two, this one, frankly, is better because it's like, this one has a little bit better lighting, and this one has a little bit better focus, where it's like, this is kind of unnecessary in the background, but honestly, either one of these would work. So we're just going to pick one of those, whichever one we like better when we actually make it. This is cool, but this one's a little better. So when it comes down to like actually putting the carousel together, we're going to pick between this one. But this one, this is a nice meal, but you already have like good food featured, frankly. And like, yeah, it's not like super insane. Like this is some kind of fish, right? With just like potatoes. Like if it was like, you know, Michelin, like super artsy fartsy looking meal, yeah, that would be more necessary. But frankly, like this is pretty basic for you, right? Like this isn't like a crazy meal.
What if I didn't have the oyster pick? Like, would this be good enough, or should I still strive for like better food or?
Yeah, like just like we want to highlight things that are like outstanding. Like this is like it's not
10 out of
bad.
10?
If you were more starting on your Instagram, this would be something that you could include. Like this can definitely fit in a story if food is a big deal to you. Like fit in a story highlight for food. Like I even have that. I don't know if I've even cleared that out, but like that was what I started with because I've always been interested in like Anthony Bourdain and things along those lines of food culture, quote unquote, right? So it definitely could be included in a post, but I would say with how advanced you are and you're posting what you already have, like this is a way better demonstration because it's not only is it still demonstrating high quality good food, but it's just a better overall aesthetic photo, right?
Yeah,
From
okay.
our standpoint, like this has a bunch of stuff going on in the background. There's a weird arm, like
True.
yeah, it's not as good. Like I said, this one's cool, definitely getting featured. This is fire. Sunset, also, you're sharing the 5 a.m. club. This is great. Like this is when we talk about comfort photos where it's like you have all the cool stuff on your profile now. We've talked about that a couple of times. Like one thing we would do is like add relatability, add comfort as in, okay, Lachlan might be traveling all around the world, but he's just like you and I. He loves spending time with family. He's hanging out with animals. Like, that's something anybody could do, right? And it gives you more depth in terms of relatability. I don't know what this is. This is, I think, Friends, which this is pretty cool. I guess maybe you downloaded this from somebody else's. But
Yeah, I probably could have cropped it. I mean, this guy's friend of mine, he just took nice pics, and this was us on like an island, like paddleboarding and stuff. So
yeah, it's pretty cool. But frankly, if it was you, it'd be way better. And if you just had the OG, but like with what you already have on your account, this is one where it's like, yeah, it'd be cool to include, cool to throw up on a story if you had the original. But yeah, right now I would say it's unnecessary compared to everything else. And that's the thing, like frankly, that's cool. That's the thing. Like, yeah, it's not you. I don't think so. Yeah, dark hair. But that's the thing. Like when you get better and better, you can just be a little bit more selective and things can just go to story instead of somewhere else. And this is really cool. So now it's like, okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because the preview app gives you 10 for a carousel, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So yeah, we're basically just going to start playing around now. We're in the wrong thing. We're going to go to preview. And we're going to start playing around with the actual carousel.
what about minor details such as the one of me on the couch with my computer is like my computer is kind of dirty, for example. Like, does that matter? The one with the sunset.
Frankly, that's like minor detail. As like generally everybody is thinking about you way less to nearly zero as compared to like how much you think other people are thinking about you. So, some people may notice that, like, but I consider myself a perceptive individual. That's not as big a deal to me. So maybe that's why I didn't notice it. But like, no, unless it's like absolutely like if you had like a nasty computer with like stains on the back and it looked like really grimy, yeah, that would be a big deal. But if it's just like a little bit of, whatever, I guess we'll see in a second, like grease or just marking on the computer, then it's not as bad. And so from here, now what I'm doing is, out of these, like I said, the 10 that we get allotted, I'm really selecting like the best and the ones that have a good flow together. And so that's where it's like the theme is comfort and dimension while still hitting, the cool aesthetics. And so it's like, okay, I'm thinking like, what are we going to feature? Like, for example, my idea is probably we may go with out of these last two that I selected, the dog and you with the dogs. It's maybe it'll come down to okay, one or the other. In terms of like between the two that we decide to use. And then let me just make sure you have this cool water one. So that's 8. And then you have this also. So that's 9. And then for now, we'll just throw in this. We can always delete and add more later, right? And what I've done is I've left that one here out. It may even allow me to add more now, I guess. But yeah, so basically what we'll do is now we'll put this together. I guess it does. So now it's going to toss these into a carousel. And yeah, this is the preview app, which is just hugely helpful. Okay. So honestly, it's funny that it put this photo best because it gives us a good idea of like, okay, what can we put as the cover? Because the cover, really like the first two photos are most important. You already know that, Lot. And when we look at like the blend between like these last six or even like going back to here, it's like this photo that as a cover actually works pretty well because it's different enough than the last one in terms of these two. Like this is obviously either, is this night or morning?
Sunset.
Okay, yeah. So this is sunset. So it's like, okay, the last time it's tied a little bit directly to this one where it's a super similar color scheme, but you know, you also have the similar orange from this. So it's like, oh, okay, this ties in really well. The thing is, it may be still a little bit too similar to everything, which in the future, if you have like this whole blue vibe consistent throughout it, it may be not quite. It's a little bit harder and not as symmetrical. If later you want to post something that is, you know, outside of that blue vibe, it'll be like, oh, whoa, like this just looks different. And frankly, like I said earlier, like this is getting into like the nitty gritty details, like the minor details. Like, okay, frankly, that's a good cover. It is, if we go, where's your Instagram? If we go to your actual Instagram, you know, it's more tied in with these. It's going to be more tied in with the previous screens you have, which is honestly okay. But generally, I look for something that still fits a little bit similar to the vibe. So maybe not that as a cover, but still something else that shows and demonstrates comfort. And really, when we get into like the 1% changes, I love the word nitty gritty of it. It's like we want to demonstrate it in a really curated way. You don't have to think about it this much by all means, but that's just like, you know, the way I like doing things. So also too, and this is where, you know, you can, I mean, obviously this is your post, so do with it as you please, but like your feedback is like, okay, do you feel there are probably some parts of this post in terms of like photos that are like super representative of you versus like, you know, this is a cool photo to highlight a part of your life, but especially when we're looking to show more dimensions, it's not like you're at weddings all the time, right? Like this is just like, okay, also highlighting something I did cool in Vancouver. Like I am going to cool events, right? So that's just something.
More of a subjective decision there, like
yeah, yeah, a little bit of a subjective decision, and then generally from like post to post. So from first to second, we want to have a bit of differentiation. So this works because it's like here you're having a lot of gray, a little bit dark, nighttime vibe, but then here it's like there is some gray, but it's, you know, you have more natural earthy tones, that kind of thing. And so then it's broken up by the next one. And so it's like the theme flows together of like, this is the overall theme is like life in Vancouver and comfort is like what I see, right? Because that's literally what this is. Sneeze. Excuse me. But if you had the same thing like back to back, like it doesn't make any sense to put these two photos back to back because it's literally the same thing. We want to break something up to put contrast in between them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And frankly,
that one of me on the couch, like it's okay, but like me on the couch, but I feel like it's just me sitting on the couch with my computer and like a sort of nice view. Like I can't, compared to other posts I've made, it feels like not very exciting or cool. But
I mean, it's cool, and like the aesthetic quality of it even is what makes it cool. Like, so, and that's what, like, I was just doing this to demonstrate, like, this probably in general isn't, I'm looking at like the marking more, right, that you were talking about, like, yeah, that kind of takes away from, so it's definitely story worthy and probably will go in the carousel overall. Just because it's a little bit more aesthetic than this, like, this is cool and all, but it's more just city, straight up city versus like nice sunset, you know, and flowers and curated environment. But it's not quite cover worthy. Same thing with like when we think about covers, you want to, like I said, present the absolute like best forward to get people more interested too. And so it's like this video here. Well, I think I have to actually look through it, but like this video is cool and it's showing part of it, and we'll definitely crop it. But right, this video, like the framing and the composition and the fact that you're not going like much faster makes it like not worthy for a cover photo. We want to put the best foot forwards.
Okay.
So that's there. So generally in looking at this, it's like, all right, so that leaves us with what are the certifiable cover photos? Frankly, like this is decent, but you have other better ones. This is pretty good, but it's a little bit too different. This is also good. Like when I look at what are the best cover photos here, it's these first two here that I have on my screen. It's this. And honestly, this would work, but it's just super different from what you have. And then even like this one would be good too. So now we can just give her a little test here and see. Okay.
Yeah, this might be a thing other guys listening have, where it's like almost overwhelming, like picking which stuff's good and then these minor details.
Yeah, and that's what, like, in general, it's important just to kind of hit your bases. So like actually, like if we look at the flow of this, one thing is on your app, I would edit this and straighten it. It kind of looks a little bit tilted. Do you know what I mean? How like you can still see
Yeah.
like just a little, but you can just go into your iPhone app and correct that. So that's a small issue, but frankly, I like that. But yeah, I totally like that's the fact of the matter, especially when you get good. Like dude, these photos are great. Like you have so many great options. It is overwhelming, and so that's where it's like you just want to select the best and the ones that you feel are most authentic to you. So when you're going through this, and if you're like, for example, based on what you've told me about this photo, it's like, okay, like, yeah, this is part of your life, but it's like you just kind of snap this. So maybe that's more story appropriate versus like, this is like not super meaningful to you. Right. And I'm getting more into opinion, but that's the whole thing, is because, yeah, we want to hit nice aesthetics, and yeah, we're using this as controlled perception to show as many dimensions as possible, but authenticity rings the best. So like if it feels authentic from you, if you were like I assume you included this because you thought it was funny or just interesting and it appealed to your sense of humor. But if it didn't, for example, and you thought, oh, other people will think this is funny, and you really just like don't care about it, and you think, why is this dog looking goofy as all get out? Like it's silly, dogs don't need gloves. If that was the way you felt, then it'd be like, no, definitely don't include this, right? Because that's differing than your personality. Does that help with kind of getting into things a little bit more? So it's like if you actually really don't like oysters and you're just doing it for the shot, it's not super different than all these girls who are like phone eats first and all this kind of stuff, just posting it to show that they're at a nice restaurant or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So now I guess there's just a few to choose as the first one, and that is in part just based on what feels authentic and stands out.
Yeah, basically. So like, frankly, when I'm looking at this, like this first order, and if you don't think like, I like this as your first photo because it's pretty beautiful. We're getting a little bit more into the aesthetic side. Like something, if we go to your account, something you haven't done is posted like a pure aesthetic post, or even have it had an aesthetic photo as a cover. And you've already told me how like you've really loved getting into the early wake ups and the sunrise and the sunset and stuff like that. So I'm thinking from my perspective, it's like, okay, this is something we've literally been talking about, is like demonstrating that and how much you've enjoyed it. And once again, I guess there's probably a simple way to understand if it's sunrise or sunset based on the sun, but I don't have that in my mind right now. So whichever one that is, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And then when we go through here, you can literally see the difference of like, okay, bang, this photo is different enough. But it's like, okay, what this says is like, I take time to enjoy nature. I'm spending time, whatever that is, sunrise, sunset, to reflect. But hey man, we're in work mode whilst in Vancouver, you know? And then
What about the swimming pic? Like, I feel like that was almost nicer, right? With someone, even though it wasn't me, although you can't tell, but like, yeah, that one. Like, isn't that nicer aesthetic than the first orange one? Or
and the reason, and it's great that you bring that up, my phone just keeps like stop working. I'm like overwhelming it with the share and whatever this video processing is. The reason I didn't have that and I didn't say it is because of how similar it is to the last 6 photos. Right.
Okay.
So you're exactly right. Like it's really, really cool aesthetic. It's perhaps even better than that first orange one, but I'm thinking about ahead for your future because it's like we want to give you a little bit more variability, and just the fact that this one is, yeah, obviously there's blue in it, but it's way more orange, allows you more flexibility for the next post when maybe you want to post something that has more of these colors in it.
Yeah.
Does
Okay.
that make sense like as from a flow standpoint?
Yeah, that makes sense why I probably got drawn to it because it matches what I normally like. The blue.
Yeah. And so that's where it's like we're looking through here.
Okay. So if the first two are the most relevant and I'm trying to showcase different aspects of the personality, I mean, the orange sunset, I guess that shows them outside by sunsets, but I feel like everybody's by sunsets no, or like it doesn't feel as good or exciting as other stuff, but maybe it doesn't need to be, and it's just purely aesthetic.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like it's really aesthetic as long as it's a part of you. Like I'm just saying that because based on and frankly, right, we're going, I keep saying it, we're in the nitty-gritty, we're like going deep, but it's to help you and others, right? So no, it can be just something as simple as I like sunsets. You're giving like you don't have to go in and be like, I like sunsets because of this. It's like, hey, sunsets are nice. It's something I appreciate. That's giving more dimension to people, right?
Yeah.
And so it can be as simple as that, or it can be, as simple as I do enjoy spending time with family. Or right, like, okay, I'm biohacking. I'm in the ice bath and I'm in the sauna, that kind of thing. Right. It doesn't have to be like this super deep, absolutely connected piece.
Okay. So now you have like one or two options. I guess the sunset one's good. And how do you think through the order? We mentioned not putting similar ones together, but otherwise, is it a huge deal?
Yeah, generally, like you want to have, like I said, the better pictures closer to the front, just because not everybody may scroll through everything. So it's like you want to make sure people see the most important stuff first. So it's like right now I'm just thinking about that of like, okay, what's highlighting Lachlan in the coolest way? And that's why I'm moving some of these closer to the front of like, okay, let's do these in, and we're just going to move things according to that order. So if I think about things that are giving you the depth, it's like, okay, this is morning or night, we're up again in the morning. Then you have a cool, like you could even tell a story of like your day. Like you have a cool evening, and then this is too similar. So this may even end up being 6 photos versus like 10 or something along those lines. But it's like, okay, we're just going here. We're going throughout based on differences. Showing more. And frankly, like you said, that can go in a story. And then do you feel super attached to one of these photos or the other?
I would say get rid of the pink dog. The one yeah. Like I don't know. I went to this dog event with my mom, but like not that attached to it.
That's cool. Yeah, it's funny and it could go on a story. But like, so I've just, kind of connected these in my mind. So now we're evaluating on like, okay, how are they connected individually? So we have this to work. I mean, right from, and I'm basing this based on also what I know about your time in Vancouver, right? So it's like also representing, people do the dumps of like, Valencia dump or wherever the Marbella dump, right? So it's like, okay, he's at work, he's getting it done, he's in the city. Okay, he's taking in what the city has to offer. He spends time with family. He's thinking windsurfs, like that's awesome. In case I haven't told you that. Biohacking. Now we're back to nighttime.
Yeah, that represents me pretty well, like watching suns. I read a lot the last couple of months, so.
Yeah.
And I started doing the 5 a.m. protocol, except 6 a.m. because that's a lot more reasonable.
Yeah. And so then it's just kind of tossing these in and like thinking where things fit. And so frankly, like if I had to rate this right now, what it is, like it's overall good. Like if you didn't have photos, I would be like, yeah, you could literally post this right now. There's enough differentiation, but we want to make it like flow as best as possible. So that's why, like, if I was like literally posting this for you, I would be like, okay, like let's see where we can improve and make things flow maybe just a little bit better. To where, and this is just intuitive vibe and everything along those lines. So if we want to do like what I said, like night to day, then this flow doesn't make sense right here, right? So it would maybe be more like the order would be something like this. Of like, it doesn't have to go by color, but it's like, okay, this is last night, like just projected timeline. This is last night. Then you're at work in the morning, then maybe also in the morning or early afternoon, you're doing the ice bath. Then after that, you spend some time with family. And then perhaps you're windsurfing. Then it's, wrapping up the day, you have some oysters. Then you cut things out. And you finish with the book, right, that you're going through. These are like, this is good for an aesthetic dump, but when I'm thinking about this, like this is a cool moment in your life and for sure good on a story highlight. But honestly, and
Yeah.
tell me how you feel. To me, it doesn't feel as connected to everything else. So like that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just get rid of that.
And then it's like, okay, hey, this is fun, Lachlan. That it's another personal highlight. And right, like that's the whole comfort photo. It's almost like Iman Gaji, for example, is a good example of this, where for a while on his Instagram, he would end every single carousel with like a goofy selfie, like where it's like 0.5 pointed right at his face, or kind of a goofy photo.
Yeah. Dude, let me know what you think of this pic. I took it the other day. It might be bad, but I was basically walking, listening to Eckhart Tolle, or however you say his name, and I saw this like big stay on path sign at like a garden. Seeds are growing. And like I didn't know if that's like a kind of like whatever you call it, synchronicity related thing. Yeah. But
that sounds pretty synchronous to me. But yeah, go ahead, shoot it over.
yeah, I have a nice thought of it. So yeah, okay. And then how would you think about captions for anyone who's watching and for myself?
Yeah. So frankly, like captions can be as simple as an emoji. Like you could literally have a Canadian flag because you were in Vancouver, or you could do however, I forget how long, like 6 weeks in Vancouver if you were there for 6 weeks, or a month in Vancouver, or whatever. You can literally just keep it super simple. Generally you don't need to overthink it. And right, like I know we went, I don't know how long this has been, maybe 40 minutes or half an hour into going into one carousel. Like I said, you don't have to think this deeply. This is just to give you an idea of like all the edge points. And so, yeah, it can be like, I tend to personally, I just keep it simple. Like if we look at, besides my like educational, or value driven posts, if we go to my Instagram, like literally, yeah. So I'm in Choco, Colombia, and based on this post, you can see like this is off the grid. Like, right, this is like a beat up Toyota Land Cruiser. I'm on beaches like it's Colombia, but it like literally looks and feels like Africa. So I was like into the wild, if that makes sense. And it was triple.
Yeah.
Like I said, these are educational. So like I go deep. Italy 23. So I just said Italia 23, right? Because that's what it is. This is in Medellin, so I used the Colombian flag and I said recuerdos, which is memories. So Colombian memories. Yeah, that's an educational post talking about, giving value. Literally, this is an event I ran for these guys. I run more in Tribe back in Lisbon. So it's like, okay, events are fun, right? This is Montenegro, literally the Montenegrin flag. So yeah, it can be that simple. It's super easy. But yeah, you could say, Vancouver with the pin, like the pin emoji, Vancouver. It could be the Canadian flag. It could be 6 weeks in, I don't know if there's, I don't think people call it like Vancouver's or something, but if there was a nickname or like, this is, it's representing yourself too, showing your personal style. So do as you wish. But like, when I think of like the cool guy image of like, if somebody goes to Toronto, I can easily picture, right, the whole like caption of like in the 6, and the S is a 6, the number, right?
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So that, and that's not bad. If that's you, that's you. But yeah, but
Okay.
frankly, like, and that's the thing is like, you can break the rules. Like these two are fairly similar. It's not in terms of colors, but when we look and go back to that original point of like, okay, what's the theme? The whole thing is like, okay, this is your time in Vancouver and the way it goes. So it's like night, morning-ish, morning, afternoon, same thing. Then we're back to evening activities, evening activities.
Yeah. just a classic Tuesday.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, it's featuring the water and some of the blues and whatnot from, more or less these previous posts, but it's heavy enough contrast where if you want to post, you can go in basically whatever direction, right? And just like, going back to mine, where's my Instagram?
Question about so can you look at my screen for a sec? Like, what about cropping? Because there's like the black space on either side. Like, how do you know if it's the right dimensions for the video?
Hang on, I'm trying to pull up your screen. Let's see. Change layout.
Oh, sorry, I thought it was already up.
No, you're good. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's kind of missing some of it, eh?
It's just I cropped it because it looked a little weird. It didn't look weird, but
Show it again.
yeah. So sorry, I gotta open it. So it's like this dimension.
Yeah.
So how do you figure out the dimension? Because it might be like different than that. So and then when I click, it switches like that. Is that good? Like, say I use, yeah, I guess it's like a good dimension, eh? Like,
Yeah. And frankly, it's like you want to get and I just pulled it up, on the preview, because that is one thing preview does is it doesn't edit it. It doesn't, crop it according to what Instagram will for a carousel. So yeah, basically you want to make sure that you get the main focus of the image or video in it, right? So here it's like, frankly, it doesn't matter if you see this foot of beach, at the bottom of the photo. If it's just waves and, the sunrise is relatively centered, or sundown, sorry, is relatively centered, and you capture the boat and the colors right, and you just balance it according to that, that's fine. And then it's, like making sure like this next photo, like, for example, if on Instagram it pulled it up and it like cropped it like this, that's not going to be super ideal, because you want this to be more of like, you want to show the whole photo, right? Versus a funky crop. So in that case, you can screenshot and then use a bigger photo. Like if this showed it like this, that's not ideal. So like that is something that we can, talk about and deal with. But yeah, so just back to that kind of orange point is like, you just want to give yourself the freedom to be able to move in whatever direction you want. And frankly, you know, like I said, this is Instagram. You don't have to overthink it. It's just careful preparation, like progress over perfection every single time. But yeah.
Can you show me the carousel one more time? I'm just gonna like line it up right now.
Yeah. I can send you this. So it's this. And like I said, you can tweak that so it's straightened up.
I'm gonna put the sun in the middle too.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's this.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Then here,
Okay.
life hack. You and nephew. Windsurfing.
Dude, this is kind of a banger post.
Yeah, like that's the thing is like, you know, this is like you can literally capture at Vancouver activities. Because, right, that's exactly what it is. This is my favorite Lachlan photo ever.
Should I crop the girl out? I guess it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like that's the thing. Like this is just in terms of like photography, aesthetic terms, like the lighting is bad. You know, the quality is not great. Like the composition in terms of like framing isn't there. Like it doesn't, it's just like, yeah, you know, this is not meant to be a aesthetic shot. This is total personality. This is total fun, funny.
Sweet. Okay. Oh, and that's all the posts, or one more?
That's it. That's it. It was just 8.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Dude, banger post. All right. Thank you for the help. I hope this helps others as well.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks for watching the video, y'all. Glad you enjoyed. And if you have more questions, please let me know in the comments, as well as on Instagram even more. I'm more active there for sure. But wanted to just recap, a reminder, this video was super in-depth for your learning pleasure. You don't need to overthink it and go super crazy, especially if you're starting off in the beginning, right? It's more important to get out posts and get that going than it is to have a 20 picture carousel or a 10 picture carousel. I think I even mentioned in the video, right? You know, you can start off with one post, you can start off with three posts in a carousel. You don't need to do 8, 9, 10 right away, right? It's more important, progress over perfection. But yeah, once again, wanted to give a special shout out to Lachlan. We're gonna tag his IG in the bottom. Go check him out. He's a cool dude traveling around the world. So if you're traveling as well, go meet him. He's in Compass, he's in Congruency, he's crushing life. So thanks again for Lachlan. Thanks y'all for watching, and hit me on IG with any of your questions and more. See ya.